Hello, viewers. Welcome to another episode of the UNIBEN Alumni Series. It is a platform where we showcase alumni of one of the greatest tertiary institutions in West Africa, the University of Benin. And every Wednesday, we publish interviews with alumni of the institution, men and women that are doing well in the society, and men and women that are shaping the society with their skills, with the knowledge they acquired from the University of Benin. And on today's episode, I'll call him an enigma. He's a professor of medicine, a former CMD of University of Benin Teaching Hospital. He's Professor Austine Obasohan. Thank you very much, Prof, for joining us. And thank you for your patience. I know we have stressed you with technology for the past few minutes to get this set up. Thank you very much, Prof. We really appreciate
Thank you very much. Thank you.
it. Thank you, sir. Prof, we'll go straight to business. We are here to discuss UNIBEN. We want to listen to your story, your UNIBEN story. And Prof, firstly, I read somewhere that while you were trying to get admission to the University of Benin, you had been offered admission by other tertiary institutions in the country, Ife, Ibadan, but you picked University of Benin. Despite, I was meant to understand that it was quite difficult to get into University of Benin because of the limited numbers who the institution was able to admit after then. And even passing through the first round, you stayed with UNIBEN. You said it is either UNIBEN or nowhere else. And I was even made to understand that you had even paid some fees in the I think in Ibadan or Ife, but you said you want to go to UNIBEN. Why UNIBEN from? Especially, sorry sir, especially University of Benin was just 1 year old at then. This was in 1971. University was just 1 year old. So why did you still choose to go to UNIBEN from?
Thank you very much. You have done your research properly. Yes, it was true. In 1971, we left school in 1970 and were seeking admission, which was done by prelim entrance examination to various universities. So yes, I took Ibadan, I took Ife, and I took Benin. And were admitted incidentally into all. Ibadan offered me vet med, agric, or forestry instead of the medicine that I applied for. So I turned it down right away.
Okay.
Ife offered me admission into medicine, and Benin offered me a conditional admission into medicine.
Mm.
So the admission in Benin was conditional. That was the trick. Whereas Ife
Okay.
had offered me direct admission into medicine. And so we were pondering on this dilemma. If I was 1 year longer, because you needed to go through a BSc at the time. So that itself was slightly discouraging. Benin was, after the prelim, it was 5 years, but it was conditional because there was going to be another difficult exam to select very few people because Benin had no medical school and we had to be sent to Zaria.
Yes. Yeah.
And therefore, it was either go to a place that's already determined if it's 1 year longer, or take a chance and go to UNIBEN and face the competition. So that was really a dilemma. So I paid the deposit for the two, first of all, to secure the two, to give,
No.
to give me time. But the family pondered over it and I chose UNIBEN. And I said, it looked at whatever, let us see what the competition would be. And then I chose UNIBEN and left Ife and went into UNIBEN. By the
Mm.
grace of God, yes, at the end of that prelim year, when the matter was resolved, not only was I one of the 25 out of
Mm.
about 100 that was chosen to go to Zaria, I happened to be one of the two who had the merit scholarship. And so it turned out well. So I graduated after 5 years, therefore 1 year ahead of my colleagues who went into Ife.
Who went to Ife? Oh,
So
that is
that was
great.
the story in UNIBEN. But of course,
Okay,
it was a stiff competition in that first year, which then was
okay,
called foundation year.
okay.
I'll tell
Was
you
that the
really.
first set of medical students?
Sorry?
Was that the first set of medical students, or
No,
who
with
was
the second
admitted
set.
in it? Okay,
No,
okay,
there was a first set who had gone to
okay,
Zaria before us because it was Ahmadu Bello University we went to for preclinical medicine. So there was a
okay,
first set that had gone to Zaria. So I was in the second set. It was that, I mean, so I'll tell you really, one of the things that made me to favor UNIBEN was that I had said if I didn't get admitted into medicine, I would read engineering, which actually was my real alternative. And at that time, all the subjects were the same. Everybody did the same subject, whether you were engineering, whether you were medicine, whether you were pharmacy. Therefore, I said if the competition for medicine didn't favor me, then I would just read something. So that was it. But it turned out well by the grace of God.
okay. Yeah, Prof, now that you have mentioned that you have read engineering, also, I read that it was your family that actually motivated you to read medicine. That on your own, you wanted to read engineering.
In fact,
Okay,
that really, in fact, that really was the issue. That really was the
okay.
issue. I was more geared towards engineering.
Engineering. Okay,
Uh, I even did best in those engineering subjects, actually, and
okay,
maths, physics, additional maths, and so on. But the family thought that since I could read any, and that it would probably be more beneficial at the time for the whole family to read medicine. So they really goaded me towards that direction.
okay.
Somehow it has turned out well.
Yeah. We can see that with the achievement, with the impact you have made in medicine. And if you are choosing engineering, do you think you'll be this impactful if you are choosing engineering? Do you think engineering would have given you the platform to make impact as you have done with medicine?
Hmm. I'll tell you, at that time, I was very, very excited about engineering.
Okay,
I just left school certificate, and man had just landed on the moon the year before. Neil Armstrong, and the
yeah.
excitement in aeronautical engineering me was were the
Okay,
very first to get financially comfortable. You know what I mean? So when I also see them, many of them have made good opportunities of engineering. So engineering guys who were in my class, many of whom are still my friends, were the first to be financially comfortable. So that side would have, you understand what I'm saying?
mm,
Perhaps because that was who knows, that was my initial, it would have been okay. But remember, my family thought that I could do well in any of the areas, so they swayed me in this direction. Thank God, it's been okay.
okay. Yeah, we thank God for that. Prof, please, thankfully you are one of the first generation students that the first during the early days of UNIBEN. There's this misconception, or there's this for us the younger alumni. At inception, we were made to understand that the university at 1970 rather, was Midwest Institute of Technology. But also, in some documents, we could find Institute of Technology Benin. So, which was the actual name at inception?
That's right. It was very interesting. Midwest Institute of Technology was actually a creation of the press. The
Oh,
real name of
okay.
the
Finally.
no,
Okay.
the real name was Institute of Technology Benin.
Okay.
And
Okay.
because everybody around here knew it was a university,
Okay.
even though the word university was not placed there. So
Yes.
the press tried to make people know that MIT in Boston, Massachusetts, is a
Yes.
first generation university. And that us was akin to that. And so preferred to use Midwest because it was owned by Midwest government.
Religion.
It was
Yeah.
so Midwest Institute of Technology. And the press would say so. Indeed, if you saw the admission list into the university in my time, which I still have, the press say MIT admits so and so. But the official documents of the university were Institute of Technology. So the public generally called it MIT. It was a round name. It was good to call. It was good to mention. It reflected the status. I dare say that even some students believed that they were the name of the institution was MIT, even though their receipts of payment, our official documents were all
Was
Institute of Technology.
it
So
Institute?
that's
Oh,
really how it was. Mhm.
okay.
That's really how it was.
And I also meant to understand that later, I think about 1973 or so, the name was changed to University
Yes.
of Benin. And
Yes.
before then, there was like a referendum done on campus for staff and students to if they want to remain at either Institute of Technology Benin or change to University of Benin. And with statistics we have, Prof, you voted against that you were okay with the name. You didn't think name matters as far as the quality of the education you are getting. That was what
Yeah.
you were concentrating. So why did you let me not speak for you, but why did you actually vote against the change of name?
Yes, I'll tell you. One, I had definitely made up my mind. I must tell you that quite a few people did not come to Benin because the name did not bear university. A few people did it.
Oh, okay.
A few people who probably had admission somewhere. But I knew we were very clear in our minds that it was a university. And so I left institutions that gave me admission, which had
Yes.
Ibadan and came to Benin, which was called Institute of Technology. However, the students were peeved that at that time, the tertiary education games and tertiary education bodies, we used to have tertiary education games, which involve universities and polytechnics. And they would
Okay.
list
Okay.
the 5 universities before Benin, Ibadan, Lagos,
Lagos,
ABU, Suka, and Ife.
Nsukka.
And
Okay.
on one or two occasions, they listed Yaba College of Technology, Auchi
Technology.
Polytechnic, before Institute of Technology. And the
Before
students
you
were
know.
angry that,
Okay.
that some establishments or some bodies did not want to acknowledge that
Okay.
Benin was indeed a university. And so
Okay.
some students were clamoring for the name to be changed to university. The
Okay.
pro-chancellor then, Mr. E.K. Clark, and the
Okay.
visitor, Governor Ogbemudia, used to come see us on campus. I mean, we were few. They used to come. The university was developing. And students started talking to them, putting pressure on them. And so the visitor said, well, council, go and conduct a referendum among staff and students. And so we were made to vote whether we actually wanted the name, to retain the name Institute of Technology or the University of Benin. And of course,
Okay.
the people who voted for University of Benin won. I
No,
was
no.
already satisfied with the name. So I voted against. I was happy with the name MIT. You know what I mean? The atmosphere was good, and it reminded us of one of the Ivy League universities in the state.
Yes.
So but the overwhelming majority voted for UNIBEN, and the visitor in his budget speech on the 31st of April 1972 changed the name to the University of Benin. So that's how it came.
Okay, I see. Prof, also, I was meant to understand the life on campus then was very good. That the government or the institution provided the basic things for students to live a good life on campus. Can you just go through some things you could remember? Because as a professor, you taught in the university for several years. So you can juxtapose how it was then and how it is now. And also I saw on your profile that you were, I think in the early 90s, you were the whole warden of O4. You were in charge
Yes.
of O4 as yes, as the head of
Yeah.
O4. So you can actually juxtapose, you can compare. So how was it then? How was it then, Prof?
Well, at that time, things were so good. Things were very good. It was the period, the oil boom, if you like.
Yeah.
And indeed, we stayed two in that first year. We stayed two in a room, a very big, wide, capacious room, two of us. And we were treated like princes. Our beds were made by hostel, university staff. We had toilet roll given to us.
Mm,
We had meal tickets once you paid your school fees, which was 68 pounds 15 at the time. When we were
mm,
there, 68 pounds 15 was the school fees. And if you went to the dining hall, meals in the dining hall were better than in most homes. Uh, every meal in the evening, you have chocolate and tea, which was in a jar, and you take yours. And on Wednesdays and Sundays, we have chicken, which
mm,
was one chicken to four people, a quarter of a chicken, and with ice cream. Everything was, you know what I mean? Those were very good old days. So that's how it was. I know I was all wording all four, and I knew when it was. By the time I was graduating, really, we were still
mm,
to a room. In some cases, some were single. Members of the very first graduating set were single. But we were second set, we were two in a room, very big room. Everybody has his wardrobe, had his table, had his this, and our rooms were swept, kept clean, and so on and so forth. We had a laundry where you would do your laundry. You know, things were just fantastic. Going
mm.
to the refectory was joy. And visitors used to come from outside to visit you, and you like to take them to the refectory to eat, and so that they will see what the university food was like. Actually, food in the dining hall was better than most homes, not like now where things are very difficult.
Okay.
So I
It's
remember,
quite unfortunate that I can't speak of same experience for myself. But Tom, do you think we can ever, as a country, now this is a national issue, as a country, do you think we can get back there? We can have better environment for studies and all that.
honestly, I do not despair permanently. I actually think we can. I mean, because even in many advanced countries, hostel accommodation and lodge is still very good. So it is quite possible if we get it right, organize it properly, have plan for the number of students who will have accommodation inside. It is quite possible to do so. These days, private-public partnership is what is being used now. So there are individuals who partner with the university to build hostels. And they will build it to standard and will plan for 2 or 3 in a room and provide all the conveniences. So I still think it is possible. If government gets it right, the present government has started education loan or students loan now. It is one thing to pronounce it. It is another to run it efficiently and recover it so that it will be a revolving thing,
Yeah, others can, yeah, get it.
so that others can benefit. Not one
Yeah.
set, people leave, there are no good records, you don't know where they are, you don't know where they are employed, you cannot get their
Mm.
jobs. Those are things, if the country structures these things properly, I believe that we can get there. Because there are still very many decent universities abroad that offer very good accommodation. I think we can get there.
Thank you for that, Prof. Talking about UNIBEN, Prof, you graduated in 1977, if I'm
Yes.
correct. Yes. What is the most important attributes you took from the university? Yes, and I remember I know or I read back then that most of the lecturers were foreigners. You had students from all over the world, from India, from Ghana. It was a center, it was a hub for students from other countries, like the University of Benin. What was that most important attribute you took from the institution?
Okay. University of Benin offered us many opportunities. First of all, in the first year, it was called foundation year. You were, we were all grilled to the same system. It was rounded education. As I told you, it was called foundation, preparation. Those foundation years lasted 3 years. All of us did the same subjects: math, physics, chemistry, biology, whether you were reading engineering, whether. So it broadened your horizon. Two, as I told you, it was an international place. We had Indians, we had people from various places. And then University of Benin also offered us, the medical students, opportunity to go for preclinical studies in Zaria, which was an older university. And so again, we interacted with a lot of people. Being from University of Benin and going to Zaria, to Amadou Bello Zaria for preclinicals. When we first started, they were just calling us Ogbemudia High School boys. But after the exams, after the examination, when you see the 1, 2, 3, 4, we're Benin, a lot of respect. We had a lot of respect. So what University of Benin gave us as training, preparatory, was extremely good. Indeed, in our time, the 3 sets that went to Ahmadu Bello University, every year, the distinction, those who had distinction in that group, you had people from Benin.
From
So
Benin.
it was the kind of training, the kind of upbringing that you had, especially in our foundation year, that took us through. And then, of course, we came for the clinicals. By the time we were in Zara, the UBTH, the teaching hospital, was being built, and we
Yeah.
came. And it was a sight to behold. The cafeteria was wonderful. There were international people, international lecturers. So the kind of, when the University of the early sets went outside, when they went in for employment, people will seek University of Benin students. The engineering students, University of Benin was the first to start engineering students going to do industrial training. They were the first to start
Oh,
pharmacy, going to do industrial training. In fact, University of Benin was the first to make engineering and pharmacy 4 years direct, not with prelim. 4 years direct, while other universities were doing 3 years. That 1 year was with industrial training. So the products were very, very hot and marketable.
yeah.
So, I mean, we have so much that we got from the University of Benin. That's why some of us dedicated our lives to
Yeah.
teach. in the same establishment and be able to impact on the other generation of students. As you know,
God
all
bless you
my
greatly for
working
that.
life, all my working life was back in the university.
Yes, yes. That will lead me to my next question, Prof. You joined the services of the university in 1986, if I'm
Yes,
correct, as a lecturer. Then 11 years later, that's 1997, you became a professor and
yes,
the very first UNIBEN alumnus to become a
yes,
professor of medicine anyway. Congratulations for that, Prof. And that
yes.
same year, 1997, you became the chief medical director of UBTH. How
Yes.
did UNIBEN, how did training, your training as a student in UNIBEN and also as a lecturer for over a decade in UNIBEN, how did it prepare you for the role, for the position as chief medical director of UBTH?
As a student in the university, you never knew what the future had for you. But basically, when we came back after working, uh, I came back to the teaching hospital, which was like an arm of the university, for my postgraduate residency training, of which I had a stint abroad in the University of London. So when I returned and qualified as lecturer consultant, yes, I took up appointment at the University of Benin in 1986. And as I told you, the zeal to give back was very much there. And, and many of our students, they remarked it in various ways that and I used to tell them that when an alumnus is teaching you, is giving you more than just teaching you the lectures, because he is part and parcel of you. And if he can make it so, and that itself was quite encouraging to the people,
Yes,
and which they showed in their various reactions to me. You needed to see what they did at my retirement last year. I mean, it's amazing. All over the world, they came together and just made me feel proud. Let me feel that all the years that I came back to university was worth it.
yeah,
So the University of Benin prepared us well. And when you were teaching there, it is with all the passion, with all the dedication. I think that was perhaps was also resulted in my fairly quick promotion to the position of professor. I wasn't the first medical professor, but the first UNIBEN professor of medicine in UNIBEN.
yes,
There were a few in some universities in the north, one or two, but the first professor of medicine in
UNIBEN.
alumnus in UNIBEN, yes. So that was the journey.
Yeah. Okay. And as Chief Medical Director of UBTH, what can you say was your greatest accomplishment? What can you look back to and say, yeah, that was really a proud moment and really it's fulfilling
Oh,
when you look back to it?
lots and lots and lots. As I said, when an alumnus took over that position, you had an infrastructure transformation, equipment, uh, accident center development, provision of hemodialysis, provision of CT scan, provision of chemical mortuary, so many things, staff development, training, neurology, or neurosurgeons, which it didn't have, cardiothoracic surgeons, which I sent to. So various accomplishments during the short period as chief medical director. And I guess in spite of the very lean finances at that time. So, and I always said, if an alumnus is in the place, he would give the best possible because he knows that that's his life. So
Yeah.
there were many, many advancement of people, you know, improve training, improve facilities. In fact, as I said then, all the things that will make a first generation teaching hospital, a lot of it was provided in our time.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you for that. Prof, we'll go back to 2015 when you delivered your inaugural lecture at the
Yeah.
University of Benin. You made a comment regarding the number of patients. This is a national issue as it concerns Nigeria. You made a comment that about 3,000 patients moved from Nigeria to India to get cardiac care. And as at
Yes.
then, I believe the rate, the amount you use, because you said 3 million naira per patient. I believe it was against the dollar you did it, which was
Yes.
far lesser then. Now it's about 400% increase if we want to do
Correct.
calculation now. Yes, you said about 3,000 patients leave Nigeria monthly to go to India. Is that still the case today? Or has something been done as a government? You have had this is close to 9 years, over about 9 years ago. Do we still have that number leaving the country?
Um, yes, of course, the number may even have increased,
Yeah.
but when we talk of the cost value, of course, you can multiply it by the number.
Yes.
People used to go for cardiac surgery or cardiac procedures abroad, which was costing about $6,000 at that time, now costing about $10,000. So you just translate it to what it was then versus what it is now. And we have thought that in 10 years, because it's about 10 years now that that publication, that lecture was given, we have thought that in 10 years things would reduce. But you know very well what has happened in the country. Even the young trained ones have left. Those who are trained abroad, who would have returned with expertise and skill, are not returning. So the exodus continues to increase. It's not only to India or whatever now, I mean, to virtually all places, to Malaysia, to Sudan, to Sudan, to different places. So it's unfortunate that that is the case. That is what it is. We hope that government will tackle it. And there are so many problems. There are factors that drive people out, and there are factors that prevent people from coming back. So if the pull and push factors, if you like, if government would look at those areas, that is the only way. I mean, today, any doctor getting any little job abroad will not compare with what is earning in Nigeria. So these are some of the factors. So the exodus, unfortunately, has not abated. If anything, it has increased.
Okay. While we gradually wind up, I also read that on a lighter note, I read that you used to play football and tennis, and you played for the university. You played during your days in the university. How was how was the entertainment like? How was fun like during your time as a student? And especially as a medical student, because those of us from the other side, from the social sciences and all that, and there's this notion that we get from the medical student that they do not have fun because of their studies. Their studies takes all their time. So how were you able? Did you have fun? Or how were you able to unwind, as the case may be?
Well, people tend to have that impression. But when I look back at my time, it wasn't true at all. I'll tell you, we did everything. I was a sports person from secondary school. I played table tennis. I played football. And I'll tell you in a minute. The first medal that was won by the University of Benin table tennis was mixed doubles by myself and one then Miss Odiri. I don't know where she is now. at the NUGA Games of 1972 in Zaria.
Oh,
Football, I mean, that was the only medal we won in that NUGA game. We were just young as a higher institution, and that was it. We played, we did the regular things. Even on the social front, the medicals, many of the leaders of the social club were medical students. I remember Clover Club was led by a medical student, Victor Zebu at one time or the other. Scomming Club was led by medical Peter Ewa at one time or the other. So I think we did the regular things. It's just that when it came to study, they studied very well. But also when it came to play, they played very well. So really that concept that medical students got. In fact, in my first year in the university, I also won a dancing competition. That was given, what was it, I think, or something. So we did virtually the same thing. But generally, medical students are busy Monday through Saturday. There are lectures every time. Unlike in some areas where they will have lectures 3 days a week or a few lectures a day, the typical medical student has a lecture 9 to 5. So he's busy. But when it came to play, we also knew how to play. So that's the way
That's
I
true.
say it.
Thank you, Prof. Lastly, what is your most memorable moment in University of Benin while you were a student? What moment do you look back and say, "Whoa, this is the peak of it all"?
There's something, there are quite a few memorable moments. In our first year in the university, you can imagine having the pleasure of the visitor of the university and the pro-chancellor and chairman of council come to us, sit with us, and talk and gist. The university was at its inception. It's a very memorable time. I also remember in our clinical years when we came back, we had some clinical teachers who used to invite us, we were few, to the home for cherry party, drinks in their homes, and we play reel to reel. The late Professor Osamo did. The late Ambrose Ali would invite us to his house. In the evenings, we were just about, I mean, 20 students broken into two groups. So it was easy for them. Those are moments, and we just look at it. Your teacher could sit with you and call you evening, one weekend, and say, "You come, Professor Osamo, and tell us about their exploits all over the world, their experiences all over the world." It exposed us. They are so memorable. And when I look back, that it's almost impossible these days. So I remember those periods. And of course, for the academics, there were those lecturers who, you had to take them very seriously. And you also had lecturers who were very kind and supportive.
Mm, mm.
When there were STEM lecturers, there were those who were very kind. In pediatrics, Professor Akenzo was a father, and people would just, a prince, people would go to him and he was encouraging. On the other
That's
side of it,
Professor Gregory Akenzo.
Professor Mene was tough. He expected you to produce stuff, and people were scared and running away. But on the other side, the same stuff that we thought was impossible, Professor Akinzo will gradually take us through, and we just say, we also had the same experience in pathology. Professor Ali could do everything with you, slides, and we're giving you stories while he's working on those things that used to fear us, the cadavers and the post-mortem examination. We used to be scared, but he will be doing it and singing, and those are memorable moments that we really cannot forget.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you for your time. And we really appreciate you for coming to share your experiences, the beautiful experiences as a UNIBEN student and even afterwards. Thank you very much, Professor Austine Obasohan. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I
Mm.
appreciate this and seize the opportunity to greet all alumni of the university wherever they are in different parts of the world. And
Thank you, Prof.
and that we urge them to give back to the institution which gave them so much head start in life. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We anchor on that. We have been speaking to Professor Austin Obasohan, the former Chief Medical Director of the University of Benin Teaching Hospital, a professor of medicine, and he has shared his experiences, beautiful experiences as a student of UNIBEN. Thank you very much. Bye for now.